Ever wondered if your compost tea is truly ready to supercharge your garden? Stop guessing and start knowing. Today, we're diving deep into the secret visual and olfactory cues that separate garden gold from garden disaster. From that telltale color shift to those unmistakable aromas, you're about to discover the foolproof signs that your brew is perfect for your plants. Let's start with the foundation. Compost tea is essentially liquid gold for your garden, a nutrient-rich, microbe-packed elixir created by steeping high-quality compost in water with proper aeration. When done right, it delivers beneficial bacteria, fungi, and nutrients directly to your plant's roots and leaves, creating a thriving ecosystem that promotes robust growth, disease resistance, and soil health that commercial fertilizers simply can't match. Here's the critical part that many gardeners overlook. Using unready compost tea isn't just ineffective, it can actually harm your garden. When compost tea isn't properly brewed or has gone anaerobic, it becomes a breeding ground for harmful pathogens that can damage plant roots, introduce diseases, and create toxic conditions in your soil. Think of it as the difference between a nourishing soup and spoiled leftovers. One feeds your garden, the other can poison it. The secret to success lies in recognizing the precise moment when your compost tea transitions from brewing experiment to garden miracle. Today, you'll master the art of reading your tea's visual cues, interpreting its aromatic messages, and understanding what those bubbles are really telling you about microbial activity. The color transformation of your compost tea tells a fascinating story of microbial extraction and nutrient release. When you first begin brewing, your tea will likely appear murky and light brown, almost like muddy water. This is perfectly normal. You're witnessing the initial stages of extraction as water begins pulling nutrients and microorganisms from your compost. As the brewing process progresses, you'll notice a dramatic shift toward a rich, deep brown color reminiscent of freshly brewed coffee. This transformation typically occurs between 18 and 24 hours of continuous aeration, signaling that beneficial microbes have multiplied exponentially, and nutrients have been fully extracted from the organic matter. The depth of this brown color indicates the concentration of dissolved organic compounds and active microorganisms. The darker the brew, the richer the microbial population. Pay close attention to clarity as well. A properly brewed compost tea will maintain some cloudiness due to suspended particles and microorganisms, which is exactly what you want. However, excessive sediment at the bottom might indicate inadequate filtration of your initial compost or the presence of materials that don't break down easily. The surface should show signs of life, a subtle sheen or light foam that indicates active microbial respiration and movement. One crucial visual warning sign involves color changes that veer away from that rich brown spectrum. If your tea takes on grayish, blackish, or develops an oily film on the surface, these are red flags indicating anaerobic conditions have developed. Similarly, if the liquid appears unusually pale after 24 hours of brewing, it suggests insufficient microbial activity or poor quality starting materials. Your nose is perhaps the most reliable indicator of compost tea quality, capable of detecting subtle chemical changes that your eyes might miss. A perfectly brewed compost tea should transport you to a healthy forest floor after a gentle rain. Earthy, rich, and surprisingly pleasant, this aroma comes from the complex interplay of beneficial bacteria, fungi, and organic compounds working in harmony. The ideal scent profile combines several distinct notes. You'll detect that fundamental earthiness reminiscent of high-quality soil, often accompanied by a subtle sweetness that indicates active fermentation by beneficial microorganisms. Many experienced brewers describe detecting hints of yeast or brewery-like aromas, which signal robust microbial activity and proper fermentation processes occurring within your tea. However, your olfactory alarm system should immediately activate if you encounter certain warning smells. A rotten egg odor indicates the presence of hydrogen sulfide, a clear sign that your tea has gone anaerobic due to insufficient oxygen. This happens when air pumps fail, become clogged, or when organic matter overwhelms the oxygen supply. Similarly, any smell reminiscent of sewage, garbage, or putrefaction means harmful bacteria have taken over. creating toxic conditions that will damage rather than benefit your plants. Pay attention to subtle shifts in aroma throughout the brewing process. A tea that's almost ready might smell slightly more intense than the finished product, while an overbrewed tea can develop sharp ammonia-like odors indicating excessive nitrogen breakdown. These nuances become easier to detect with experience, but even beginners can distinguish between the pleasant, earthy aroma of success and the unmistakable warning signals of brewing gone wrong. The surface activity of your compost tea provides a real-time window into the microbial universe thriving below. Proper aeration creates distinctive bubble patterns that tell the story of oxygen levels, microbial population density, and overall brew health. Understanding these patterns transforms you from a passive observer into an active participant in the brewing process. Healthy bubble formation begins modestly, with gentle, consistent bubbling that indicates adequate oxygen distribution throughout the liquid. As microbial populations explode during the peak brewing window, typically between 12 and 24 hours, you'll observe increasingly vigorous bubble activity. The surface should develop a light, persistent foam that doesn't dissipate quickly. This foam consists of proteins, organic compounds, and microorganisms, creating a living layer on your tea's surface. The size and behavior of bubbles provide crucial information about your tea's internal dynamics. Small, consistent bubbles rising continuously to the surface indicate proper aeration and steady microbial respiration. Larger bubbles that form and pop regularly suggest robust microbial activity and adequate nutrient availability. However, massive bubbles that seem to overflow or create excessive foaming might indicate microbial overload, often caused by adding too much compost or supplemental nutrients to your brew. Perhaps most importantly, recognize the warning signs of inadequate bubble activity. If your tea shows minimal bubbling after 6 hours of aeration, check your air pump, tubing, and air stones for clogs or failures. A completely still surface after 12 hours indicates serious problems, either equipment failure or the development of anaerobic conditions that require immediate attention. Remember, those bubbles represent millions of beneficial microorganisms working to create garden gold, so their absence signals trouble. Once your compost tea achieves that perfect coffee brown color, develops its characteristic earthy aroma, and maintains healthy bubble activity, you've created a living fertilizer with a limited shelf life. The peak microbial population occurs immediately after brewing, typically between 24 and 36 hours, making timing crucial for maximum effectiveness. Understanding proper application ensures you capture the full potential of your brewing efforts. For soil drenching, dilute your concentrated tea with non-chlorinated water until it resembles weak tea or displays a pale yellowish-brown color. This dilution ratio typically ranges from 1:1 up to 1:4, depending on your plant's sensitivity and the concentration of your original brew. Apply this diluted tea directly to the soil around your plants, saturating the root zone to deliver beneficial microorganisms where they'll have the most impact. Foliar application requires a bit of extra consideration since, leaf surfaces can be more sensitive to concentrated solutions. So, you'll want to dilute your tea further for foliar feeding, strain it through cheesecloth to get rid of any larger particles that might clog your spray equipment, and, definitely apply during the cooler parts of the day to prevent any risk of leaf burn. The living microorganisms in your fresh compost tea will actually colonize those leaf surfaces, forming a protective barrier against harmful pathogens while also providing nutrients that are, immediately available. Storage considerations really become critical once your tea reaches perfection. Unlike commercial fertilizers, compost tea is packed with living organisms that keep on consuming oxygen and nutrients even after the brewing stops. Refrigeration can help slow down microbial activity and extend usability for a few days, but honestly, the population and effectiveness drop off pretty quickly. For the best results, plan your brewing schedule to match up with your application windows, making sure your plants get the maximum microbial benefit from your carefully crafted liquid fertilizer. Your garden transformation truly begins when you consistently recognize these readiness indicators and apply properly brewed compost tea. Plants treated with high-quality compost tea develop much stronger root systems, improved resistance to disease, and enhanced nutrient uptake, which leads to visible improvements in growth rate, leaf color, and just overall plant vigor. The beneficial microorganisms go on to establish lasting soil communities that keep working long after application, building a sustainable foundation for garden health that, well, just compounds over time. So, are you ready to master the art of perfect compost tea brewing? Go ahead and subscribe to the Humus Heritage channel for more in-depth gardening guides, and don't forget to share this video with fellow gardeners who want to stop guessing and start knowing when their liquid garden gold is ready to work its magic.